Hello.
I
needed a foil.
I got out of bed to do this, so.
You got out of bed to do this?
Yeah, so forgive
Wow.
my disheveled appearance.
Okay.
But I'm here. You know what I mean?
You're very you're incredibly shoveled.
So shoveled.
For those who do not know, this is Heathen Queen.
Yo.
She is
my favorite shirt. Wait, you can't see it. What's that? It was a birthday gift. Very fitting, you know.
So for the 103 people watching, if you aren't already subscribed to her channel and Twitter and TikTok is the
best of luck.
Also the cool part. Yeah, so I've been literally editing on stream. If you can imagine how exciting that is for everybody.
Exhilarating, yeah. My mom actually the other day, this made me sort of irrationally angry because she and I don't really talk. That doesn't make me angry. That's for the best. But we spoke maybe 2 years ago at this point, 2 or 3 years ago, and I was telling her that I read Bart Ehrman's book, God's Problem, effectively how God fails to answer the question of suffering.
Yeah, that's an interesting first Bart Ehrman to read, but okay.
No, it wasn't the first one I had read. I had read other books by Bart Ehrman. I just read this one at this time. And for some reason, I thought talking to my mom at this point would be a successful endeavor. Spoiler alert, it was not. But so she said, "Oh, I'm going to buy it and read it, and we can talk about it." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." Again, spoiler alert, she did not. So she might have bought it. We certainly did not talk about it. And now, several years after the fact, she sends me a link on Facebook chat. We haven't spoken in a year. And it is How God Answers the Problem of Suffering with Joni Eareckson Tada.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ta.
So, I support Joni Eareckson Tada. She's an amazing artist. No shade to her. But if that is your who you trot out as your token answer to suffering, you're just ableist and trash.
Yeah, that's even worse than earlier tonight we were talking about all the copies of Mere Christianity that I received in my first couple months of deconversion.
God,
many.
God, that's nearly as bad as people that come on my TikTok and they're like, "Listen, you just need to read The Case for Christ."
Right.
There's so much evidence. Just read The Case for Christ. Y'all think I didn't read that fucking book?
That's the exact shade.
Sorry.
So Sean McDowell had a stream yesterday, and he had some guy on with a new book, and he said, and I think this was an accident. So he said during the interview, "Well, I wanted my book to be so you could give it to an academic, not the Lee Strobel books." I was just like, "Yay!"
Yeah,
You're
if you want to be
enough to know
give it to an academic, then maybe you should I don't know, go to school. Call me crazy.
Have you thought about doing religious education at all?
Like going back to school for it?
Yeah, getting a master's or something.
Yeah, I have actually. I would love to do that. I love school personally. It's mostly just the fact that it costs so much goddamn money here in the States that unless there's going to be some sort of profitable outcome where if I lived in a world where I could go to school and learn stuff and it didn't actually matter if I made money at the end, I would have done it 5 years ago. The dilemma is that how do you justify that when jobs in academia are almost non-existent? And in fact, academia is sort of rotting from the inside out, but you didn't hear that from me. So yeah, it's one of those things.
Guy? Yeah.
A couple. No. No, it's just whenever you talk to anyone either in academia or that has a PhD but has left academia, it's all for the same reasons, effectively. Of course, there's some outliers, but largely it's because there's no jobs, and they don't treat non-tenured professors particularly well, and they don't even treat that many tenured professors very well.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, it's but I would love to. I find it fascinating, and that's part of what I try to do with my channel, is like find those academics that would have influenced me during my deconversion, and then make that information accessible to other people, so that like they don't have to sort of dig through the weeds, I guess, for lack of a better term.
That is what I like about your channel, is that I plan on poaching people.
Oh, you should. And if I can offer you anyone, please let me know. I'll connect you with them.
You mean to be on not for sacrifice or something.
Yeah, I mean, I would prefer if you didn't sacrifice them, but like, I don't know, if the price is right.
Exactly.
I still don't know why like so many scholars want to talk with me, especially considering my online persona, but you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it.
So for someone who's unfamiliar with you, what is your typical online persona?
Depends on where you're watching me, to be honest. I started off on TikTok, and I was originally doing a lot more sort of, I want to say like scholarly education. I'm not a scholar, but what I was trying to do was take the stuff that I had learned from respected scholars and sort of force it into 1 to 3 minute videos to give people answers or information that would either help them or at least provide a jumping off point for them to do their own research, right? I've told people from the beginning, Don't trust me. Just take what I'm giving you and use it as a jumping off point. Go do your own research, find out for yourself. And whatever answers you come to, that's fine. But you should not take what I say or what anybody else says, for that matter, at face value, and then just decide that's how you're going to live your life. So that's how I started on TikTok. And then one day I got kind of burnt out from dealing with people. And so I just started some really stupid stuff like church signs. And those took off way more than I had anticipated. Way more. It turns out if you're deadpan and you can read funny shit without laughing, people love it.
Scholars need popularizers.
Yes.
Like, maybe Dan's doing okay on his own, but like a lot of the scholars,
he's a rare case.
Right, like Kip Davis, for example, right?
Yes.
Like Kip has
Brilliant.
a handful of subscribers.
Yep.
And like 30 people watch his videos.
I know.
But he did one with me, and like over 100,000 people watched it.
Yes.
And that's like, so, like, again, who am I? I'm nobody, right? I'm a guy who until a couple of years ago believed all the wrong stuff. So no one should take as you just said, no one should take my word for any of this stuff. But if I can put someone smart somewhere where they can talk,
yes,
then I do my job. I feel like you and I are on the same wavelength on that.
Yes, and I tell people this all the time, and I think it's very true for you as it is for me. For some reason, people like me, and for some reason, they trust what I have to say, right? And this is not like a grab for compliments. I'm just saying, like, for some reason, people will trust when I say, you should look into this person, you should listen to this person. Right. And so if I can connect people that are seeking with people that know, I'm happy with that role. Like, I don't need to be the PhD person, right? Like, I don't need to be that. Like, I can just be who I am, and sort of be that connecting piece and feel like I'm successful in that way.
I get tempted to do the masters and things when I'm doing things solo, because like I've been on Unbelievable twice now, and they're both with PhDs, right? And here's like, what does Paul have? I was a youth minister.
Yeah.
Right.
You have a following.
Yeah, like it's so sometimes I feel like, and actually I would love the education, but I can't find any place that will so the money is a real thing, of course. Like that would I would have to be sponsored like crazy, or scholarship like crazy. But everyone needs their statement of faith, right? Like I will not fake sign a statement of faith.
No, absolutely not. Oh, I'm sorry. So your original question was like, what is my persona online? And I just took that way off the rails. So I was doing TikTok for a while. I sort of went from trying to sort of synthesize scholarly information and put it out to being like, hey, go talk to people that actually know. I'm going to just kind of do these funny videos and lean into like what my personality is, which happens to just kind of be sarcastic and snarky. And, you know, I've heard quick-witted from a few people. And I think that for a lot of people leaving the faith, it is actually quite healing to be able to laugh at some of the things that they would have once considered blasphemous or holy or whatever, right? And so recently, my sort of shtick online on TikTok has been more of these funny videos, or like taking things that are actually quite frustrating, like that apologists say, or that sort of Christian leaders say, and making fun of them. And then so that's largely what I do on TikTok. On Twitter, I'm a nightmare, to be honest.
Yes, you are.
And I will make no apologies. I guess, and I sort of explained this earlier, and I'll try and condense it. Like, largely the people that are apologists online, or that are like the loud sort of squawk boxes of like evangelical conservative Christianity, are by and large privileged white dudes. There are, of course, exceptions to that rule, right? Like we have Vadi Bakum and people like this. So it's certainly not just that, but by and large, it's this. And these people preach and press and really want us to believe and vote against the rights of everybody that doesn't look like them, everybody that doesn't believe like them. So are you in the LGBTQ community? Are you a woman? Are you a person of color that doesn't agree with them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Okay, then we don't think you are as deserving of rights as we are as white Christian dudes. And so I've made it my expressed purpose on Twitter to just make sure those dudes get checked as often as possible, because they're so used to running around saying whatever they want, and it's hateful and it's bigoted and it's harmful. And I think they expect people, and especially women, to meet this bullshit with kindness and with subservience and with sort of, if not respect, at least some kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, temerity. And so, and then I've tested this theory, and I found it to be true, that all of these dudes that run around saying that they are manly men and, you know, warriors of God, and they are like the upholders of the patriarchy, I retweet them once, and they block me. Like, so literally my express goal on Twitter is just to remind people that, like, they're allowed to speak up, they're allowed to be disrespectful, they're allowed to say exactly what they're thinking, and they don't have to apologize to people that would sooner treat them as subhuman than respect their voice. And I think that, and again, I'm kind of going on a whole tangent here, but it takes both kinds of people, right? If you are I hate to keep saying this, but like a white privileged dude, they are way more likely to listen to you because they respect you as a human being. So if you
like you and I are antithesis. I feel like you and I are antithesis of each other, even though I think we feel like we have the same goals in a lot of ways.
And it takes both kinds. I think that's the thing, is that like everybody thinks that I want them to be just like me, and that's not true. You can take Josh Bowen, for example, right? He and I have these same fundamental core values and beliefs. And effectively, what happens is, and this is an analogy I use a lot, you have a bully in a schoolyard, and that bully is constantly attacking, say, women, and that's it. It's a male bully, always attacking women. And you could go to him as another dude that looks like him and say, hey, this is why bullying is bad. This is why you shouldn't do it. This is why it harms people. And maybe he's going to listen to you because he respects you as a human being, and he respects your opinion. Okay? Now, if I'm the person he's bullying, if I'm that demographic, there's a reason he's bullying that demographic. It's because he doesn't believe that I or people like me are equal to him, are as human as him, as deserving of rights and respect as him. So, what am I going to do? I'm going to punch him in the fucking face. Because what I want him to know is that there's a consequence for that bullshit, right? So we have the same end goal. We have the same ideas. We approach it in different ways. And I think that both are equally as important. And it also happens that you can only do, not only, but you'll know who you are in the fight. Right? You'll know if you are the person that can sit down with that with the other person and have a conversation. And we saw this a lot when I blew up some folks live over Robert Price. I'm gonna punch Josh in the face. No, what I'm saying is, Josh and I are close, and so I will come out swinging when I know I'm right. And the thing is that then people who are like, oh my God, I cannot believe this Jessica, right? This Heathen Queen, she's this and she's that and blah, blah, blah. And then Josh or other people like Josh will come in and say yeah, actually she's right. And here's why. And because they respect him, because they want his respect, because they want his approval, because they think that he is an equal to them, or even sometimes a step above, right? They sort of idolize him as a mentor or as an academic or whatever. They then have to sit back and think, okay, if this person agrees with her, uh-oh.
You lose me?
I might have to think about that. So that's a really long way of saying that it takes all kinds of people, it takes both kinds, right? And neither person is wrong. It just depends on what kind of social and currency that you have in that given situation. Anyway, I feel like I've gone on and on and on.
No, that's great. And the reason I ask is because I get the very same thing. So you and I have the opposite reputation as you. So I have the reputation of being incredibly kind, and not ever calling anyone out, and not ever calling anyone names. And this is a thing that certain branches of Christians like about me, and why they will listen to me, right?
Yes.
But honestly, that's kind of just who I am. I would, if I could just switch tactics and do your tactics tomorrow, I would. But I can't.
Of course. It's just not who you are.
It's just not who I am.
Yeah.
But it's weird because I get the opposite, right? So I get you were defending, Paul's, don't worry, not everyone needs to be like me. Some people should be like Paul. And I get the opposite question. I'm like, everyone should be like, people think that I want to say that everyone should do what I do. And I'm like, no.
Right.
If there wasn't, Bill Maher's gone completely off the rails now. But if Bill Maher hadn't have existed, or George Carlin hadn't existed, some of those, I needed to hear my beliefs mocked.
Right.
As much as I needed the intellectual stuff. So if you're not me, you're now the poster child for people who are opposite of me should be doing this shit, because
and you'll know who you are. You will know who you are. That's, and I try to reiterate that, right? If you are not a personality type like me, if in any way, if you try and communicate in the way that I do, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. It's not going to land. You're not going to feel good about it. And you're sort of punches aren't going to connect. And that's okay. That's okay. Like, you can be someone who is very kind and patient and someone who can have these conversations and someone who plays the long game, especially if you are someone who has that social currency, that capital, where people will listen to you, even if that's because you just look like them, even if that's because any reason, right? Like, it takes all kinds, and I will never, ever, ever tell anyone they should all be like me. Like, I will never say that.
Yeah. So we're both thankful that the other type of person is out there doing the stuff.
Because my patience is 0.
Exactly.
But I think the thing is, like, in these, like you were saying, you know, you needed both A and B. Like, there are people who need someone to sit and explain and have these sort of longer conversations and show that, like, there can be a meeting place in the middle. Those people need to exist, and people need to see that. And at the same time, those people need to see that when someone is acting up, that there's a fucking consequence to that shit, and that it looks like the person that could be marginalized, right? Like, I'm a white woman, but that still means that I play a marginalized, or I have a marginalized role when it comes to patriarchy, especially in Christianity. That also means that when it comes to women of color, I'm going to step in front of them because I have way more privilege than they do in that situation. And it takes all kinds. It takes knowing who you are. It takes understanding power dynamics. Like, it takes all of these things. So I guess this is my, you know, middle of the night, long-winded way of saying that, like, you'll know what's right for you, and you should do that. So long as you are showing up and engaging in the fight in whatever way is your way.
I realize now from the framing, because I haven't been watching the framing, I'm looking away from you and not looking you in the eye.
Oh, it's fine.
So yeah, I have been paying full attention to every word you've been saying, but I'm also editing.
I assumed you were editing, and I was just talking to whoever is listening. I was actually quite pleased at the positive response from people, because usually I get like, "Oh my God, you're so mean," and I'm like, "Yeah," but
today, what was your one? I just like someone wanted to know about rocks, about atheists being what if?
Oh my God, where someone was
Abel. Wait, let me think. Remember, because God didn't take away all the rocks after Abel killed someone with a rock.
Yeah. I said that rattling that you hear in your dome is a fucking pebble. I don't make the rules, you know? I don't make them. People, sometimes this feels like a humble brag, and it's not meant to be, but sometimes people ask me, like, how long does it take you to, like, do those videos, like, think up those videos? And I'm like, I do them on the spot. Like, I do them on the spot. Like, whatever thought I have in my brain, it comes out. And if I don't feel like I have that creative sort of, like, if I'm not in the mood, I just don't do them because they won't be funny at all. Then I just do my more serious videos, but yeah.
That's amazing. So I want to hear about your transition to YouTube, and, like, not even necessarily in the religious thing, but, like, why are you transitioning? Like, is it mainly because you can do long form with these scholars, or?
Yeah. So I guess. Okay, here's my pipe dream. I would love to be able to do this, what I'm doing, make these funny shorts that sort of make people that are leaving the faith laugh and allow them the freedom to laugh at things that they once thought were, you know, blasphemous or holy or whatever, right? Because I think that's healing. However, I also think, for me, a large part of my deconstruction was, again, access to scholarship. And I was fortunate that, when I was deconstructing, I was in college, so I had access to a lot of resources and databases and things like that, right? All of these things. But I know there's a lot of people when they're deconstructing that, 1, don't have access to those things, and that 2, aren't even sure what they're looking for, and 3, don't know what questions to ask necessarily. That's not true for everybody. Not all of those things are true for each person, but those are the sort of things that I found as a theme across people that are deconstructing. And so a couple of reasons that I switched to YouTube. Yes, definitely 1, the longer form where I can sit down with someone and do 30 minutes or an hour. and sort of like hash out a topic. Also, in a very practical way, you can make more money on YouTube. So if this is something I want to do long term and I want it to be a serious source of income, YouTube is a way more practical platform. TikTok fucking sucks. It's good for what it is, but like nobody understands the algorithm. Nobody understands how you make money. Like it's just like broadly engagement. So if you make a video that gets a lot of hits, you make money, but you don't know why or how it's getting a lot of hits. It's a very like convoluted system that doesn't lend itself to sort of a practical planning standpoint. When I first got on TikTok, I think I said this, I didn't even want to get on TikTok. My sisters pressured me to get on, and I was like, I'm old first. And I know that everyone is like, no, you're not old. And I'm like, no, I don't mean that I'm actually physically old. I mean, I'm old on the inside, where like, I was like, I don't need this children's dancing app. This is a knockoff Vine. Like, what am I doing here? But I got on and that's fine. And then when I decided like I need to go to YouTube, probably if I want to like be able to monetize things in a real way, I was like, dude, I'm a neophyte. Like I don't know how to do this. I barely answer my text messages. And so, I switched over and I just started putting on my like shorts, which were effectively just my TikTok videos. That's me stripped of the hashtag of the watermark. I still don't understand the algorithm. I don't know, but yeah. So I guess it's just easier to plan, and it seems like a more stable way of perhaps generating income at some point. There's no better time to start than, I don't know, a couple months ago, I guess. I told Twitter, hey, if you are a scholar or you're doing PhD research or you're doing a master's thesis or whatever, here, schedule with me. And boy, howdy, did they. I think this week alone, I'm doing about 10 interviews.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it was more than I had anticipated. I tease people a lot, like when they leave comments on my videos, like, okay, boomer. But in reality, like, I, in fact, am a boomer on the inside. It's a lifestyle choice. It's a mindset.
It's a lifestyle choice.
It's not an age. Yeah. So I've been fortunate to have people with larger platforms that, for whatever reason, want to associate with me. And that has done me a lot of good. I super appreciate it.
Well, one day it'll be a cartoon.
I can only hope, the dream, the goal and a dream. Generally speaking, I have just been like, yeah, just say yes to whatever. Let's do all the things. And to be honest, it's been a lot of fun. It just has to sort of like, at a certain point, you have to narrow in the sort of like focus a little bit, because otherwise you have no time for life or anything.
Yeah, and literally I woke you up apparently and made you come on my channel.
Worth it. I wasn't asleep. I was just I just took all my
you
makeup
did tweet
off.
That's why I mentioned.
Yeah, I was just like, this is not my like normal go-to camera face, but we're just gonna roll with it, because if people can tolerate the way I look right now, then you're gonna love the way I look when I put some effort in.
Well, sadly, when I put in effort, I look much the same as I do right now. So that's,
I don't know. It's the life of men,
Yeah.
I feel like I get the opportunity to do the trolling for scholars that can't because of their professional image. And but also I get the added benefit of then being close to scholars who I learned so much from, and so if people come back towards me or towards anybody really, I can also say, actually, no, here's the scholarship, here's the academic evidence, but also I'm gonna ruin your night.
Do you have your past self in mind when you make your videos?
Yes, absolutely. I think I'm gonna try not to cry, but I think that every video I make in one way or another is me speaking to a younger version of me, and they're trying to educate them. I think a lot of my older videos are education and stuff that I really wish I would have known or needed to know. And a lot of my later videos are somebody I'd want to be friends with, right? Like, this person thinks it's funny. This person like has some sort of joke about it. Like this person, it doesn't rule their life anymore, right? Like they're not bound to this one particular like understanding of what is right or holy or good.
So you're trying to model a happier life for your younger self. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think that I don't know about modeling a happier life, but I'm trying to be the person that I needed that I didn't have when I was deconstructing. Because when I deconstructed a decade ago, nobody gave a fuck. And I don't blame them for that. Like, it just wasn't really a thing then. But I remember feeling so lost and so alone and so like unmoored because I'm finding out all of this information and the only community I really have is my church, and my church is telling me that all of this information is effectively a trap from the devil.
Right.
And so once you start, and especially the way I grew up, it's like if one thing is wrong in the Bible, it's all wrong. So you pull the thread and then you're like, oh, all right, so it's all wrong. Now, if all of this stuff that I believed at one point actually isn't true, then how do I know that anything that I believe about the world is true?
My God, we're the same person, but we're the opposite people. It's just so weird.
Yeah. I think, like, again, we are, at our core, we are all who we are, right? And so I've always been this person, and you've always been that person. But the experiences that we've had can be exactly the same. It's just at our core, we're different people.
Right.
But like,
yeah,
those experiences can be the same.
But I was the same. Like, if this is only 99% true, then it's all garbage. That was like, that's how I was. So
I was like, do y'all want people to leave? Is that your goal? Because like, there's a talking donkey in that bitch. So like, like, hello. Hello.
Eventually, I hit a wall every night, and it's usually
makes sense.
It's usually around now. It's like 4 for me.
Oh, yeah, 4. I like what I walked into. What up?
So, anyways, thank you so much for coming on. I'm excited that we finally had our first conversation. I'm excited that we're going to get to chat in person.
Yes.
In a couple of weeks.
Me too. I'm actually very excited for that.
Yeah, so if anyone is still watching, and a few people still are, go check out Heathen Queen on all the platforms. And
if you're bold to fuck around as human to find out divine.
All right.
But thank you for having me. It was a joy.
Yeah, no, and you can go back to bed and we can both crash and fight another day tomorrow. So Indeed. Thanks for everyone. Enjoy.
Thank you all.
Later.
Au revoir.